So guys, here we are again. Time of cozy evenings, candles, long movie nights, or as some would say, gray sky, constant rain. Yeah, winter depression is here. I'll be honest with you, I am definitely affected by the lack of sun.
Like now it's 5:30 and it's already pretty dark, and it was more or less like this gray the whole day.
My energy drops, my motivation disappears, and sometimes even simple things feel heavier than they should. And every time I say this online, the Dutch always go like, falls and winters are incredible here. You just need to know how to cope with it. So I decided to combine all the tips and tricks I've learned from the Dutch during my 10 years abroad, and I will share them with you in this video. By the way, this video is the first episode of the 6-part series, The Emotional Side of Living in the Netherlands. Within this series, we will dive deeper into expats' life, and not only housing, paperwork, or healthcare, but what it actually feels like to build a life abroad. If you're interested, then definitely subscribe for the part 2 that is coming very soon. Number 1. Routine. The Dutch are big planners and they get a lot of backlash for it. But it's actually something we can learn from the Dutch, because routine is what helps them keep it together during winter months. Think about it this way. When everything outside becomes unpredictable or dark, well, literally, it's very dark outside these days, a routine becomes your anchor. It gives your mind something stable to lean on when your emotions start to fluctuate. Our brains actually crave predictability because it lowers cortisol, decreases decision fatigue, and creates a sense of safety for your nervous system. And simply knowing that there are some predictable components in your day helps you feel more stable. My current routine looks like this. Wake up, Kundalini practice, breakfast, tea, work, Pilates, read before bed, sleep. This is what has helped me to feel stable when my life was anything but stable. I knew that I would wake up, I would do Kundalini, I would go to Pilates in the evening, and that helped my day to have some sort of frame. So I could feel like, I don't know, like I want to show like this movement, that I felt like I had something to lean on. And I know that it's very, very difficult to stick to your routine when life gets hard. I know it firsthand, but I also know from my own experience and from the experience of many of my clients that if we don't stick to our routine, then life typically gets even tougher. The Dutch have this beautiful habit called coffee drinken. It literally means to drink coffee, but it's really about connection. Even when it's pouring rain, they still meet up, laugh, talk, and vent together. It's easy to just crawl into your cave and wait for spring, especially when it's rainy and gloomy outside. But doing it together is what helps us live through tough moments. If you can relate, and lately your energy has been so low that your relationships and career started running on autopilot, come join us in my new exclusive community, the Self Lab, where you will learn how to create that kind of love and career that truly fulfill you, and finally start attracting instead of chasing. Join us for 7 days free and see what changes when you finally make space to listen to yourself. In the Netherlands, it's quite common for people, especially office workers, to go for a short walk during lunch. It's almost like a ritual. They even have a term for it, lunch wandeling. Translated literally, lunch walk. This really helps to get exposed to the sun and get some vitamin D. And if you're wondering what kind of sun, like we don't see any sun, the sun is still there even if it's cloudy and even if you don't see it. You just need to be outside a little bit longer to get the vitamin D in. You've probably heard that vitamin D is important, and in countries like the Netherlands, Nordic countries, people often have vitamin D deficiencies. This basically means that people tend to have low moods, tend to get more irritable, feeling a sense of fatigue, like they don't want to do anything. So to combat that, we need to be out more during winter times, even when it's gray and cloudy like today. Vitamin D deficiencies are directly linked with the production of serotonin, aka happiness hormone. That's why people might feel fatigued, irritable, tired, exhausted all the time, even if there is no obvious reason why they might feel that. So lunch walks are great, but what helps me and what a lot of studies suggest we should do is to get exposed to the daylight early in the day, ideally immediately upon waking up. It regulates the circadian rhythm, which manages our internal clock. And when this rhythm is synchronized, it gets much easier to go through this winter month and feel emotionally stable during this time. Every season has its own rhythm. Fall is for reflection, winter is for rest, spring is for renewal, and summer for expression. So what if we stopped resisting the rhythm and instead surrendered to it? It reminds me of what Paul Graham wrote in his famous essay about cities. Bear with me for a second, I will explain how it's connected. So Paul Graham wrote that every city whispers its own message through its people, its space, its values. And then he gives examples how New York says, be richer, Boston says, be smarter, and San Francisco says, be more influential. Every place has its own pulse, and if you tune into it, then life becomes much more easier. But if you resist it, then you might feel like you're swimming against the current. I was thinking that it's kind of the same with the seasons, that every season has its own purpose. And nowadays we're much less in sync with each season. But if you think about how people used to live in the past, they were much more in tune with what each season represents. Like in spring, they would sow seeds. In summer, they would tend the field. In autumn, they would gather the final harvest. And then in winter, it would be a cozy time for mending the tools, storytelling by the fire, and just being with the family. So how can we connect the dots and utilize this Mother Nature wisdom right now? Well, if you think about it, autumn invites us back in. It's the time of gathering what has worked and letting go what didn't. It's time for us to go inwards as well and reflect upon questions that we didn't get a chance to ask ourselves during summer, because summer was more about expression, about living fully. So now we have the time to sit down with the tea, with candles. Yes, I chose this scene for a reason. And we can quietly ask ourselves, are these relationships still alive for me? Do I love what I do? Am I being true to myself? So maybe this whole season is actually not about surviving, but it's about taking the space that autumn gives us to reflect and to get closer to ourselves. Number 5. Asking for help sooner. The Netherlands makes real efforts to normalize mental health. You see campaigns, conversations around it, and just less stigma around therapy in general. But the system itself is far from being perfect. If you want to get mental health help, there are huge, long wait lists. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that from the moment you asked for help until you actually get help, a year might pass. And of course, when someone needs help, like I need help now, I don't even know where I'll be in a year. So in my view, the system itself is not there yet. But the Dutch as a nation are quite good at self-leadership. So if they need help, they're gonna ask for it. And it's very different in some other countries, because in some countries, I'm not gonna name these countries that I have in mind, just not to offend anyone. But first, mental health can be seen still as a taboo topic. Like if you are struggling mentally, you are seen as lazy or dramatic. The vibe is kind of like, hey, just get it together, can't you? And then people choose to struggle in silence. And number 2, which is especially evident in men, if you knew how many male coaching clients I've met that think that. They think that asking for help is a weakness and they should be able to cope with everything on their own. Well, they make it very, very difficult for themselves, and that's unfortunate, of course, because life is not supposed to be that hard, and asking for help is a much wiser choice, but it requires courage. I'm not saying that all these things I've just mentioned don't exist in the Netherlands, but they're just far less common here, and that's what makes a difference. So if you've been feeling low for a while, please stop torturing yourself and ask for help. The Dutch love taking short trips, and they're not wrong in doing it, because sometimes the best therapy is simply a change of scenery. The Netherlands is so well connected. Big capitals like Paris, London, Berlin are just a few hours away. I live in Eindhoven, and we often use the Eindhoven airport to fly to various destinations. And if we can't find a cheap flight from Eindhoven, we go to Düsseldorf or Belgium. So yeah, this season can be heavy, but it can also be deeply grounding if you stop fighting it and start listening to it. This video is part of my series, The Emotional Side of Living in the Netherlands. In each video of this series, I will discuss one layer of life abroad. We will talk about love, workplace, loneliness, and other typical things that expats have to face. If you like this video, then part 2 is coming very soon. Subscribe to my channel not to miss it. And if you need extra support, join my community, the Self Lab, or reach out to me for one-on-one coaching. You'll find all the links in the video description below. You don't have to figure it out on your own, so let's make this winter softer together.